Are you guys just watching Deadpool and Wolverine again? Why am I the only person in the theater?
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
The second movie release that I saw this weekend was the espionage thriller Ulajh, directed by Sudhanshu Saria. This is a film that intrigued me because of the themes it focused on. Another film that just seems to not tickle anyone's fancy in the theaters. The film, with a solid trailer, just seemed to not generate any interest with the viewers, garnering little to no motivation to step into the theater. Whether this is the case of just tight-knit thrillers or not is a separate argument. But my job is to tell you how the movie experience was. So Ulajh focuses on Sohana Bhatia, played by Janhvi Kapoor, who is appointed as the youngest deputy commissioner of the IFS, placed in a prestigious post in Great Britain. Sohana constantly battles with the argument regarding her capability with the job at hand and the privileged background she comes from. The parallels with Janhvi's own journey is quite uncanny, which I will dwell on further in the review. As her post is met with animosity and opposition, especially from raw agents, Sohana finds herself trapped due to the conniving nature and acts committed by Gulshan Devaiah. What exactly happens in this exchange? What leads to Sohana feeling cornered? What is the ultimate mission and goal at hand regarding the enemy state that needs to be curtailed and stopped in its tracks forms the basic premise of Ulajh. I'm calling it a basic premise, but I can't tell you how complicated the plot truly is. I literally found myself in several instances to be like Alan from The Hangover, trying to piece together the plot of this film. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the movie so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch Ulajh in theaters or not. The good. Cast credibility. The film has an absolutely solid ensemble cast, and it breaks my heart that many of the talented individuals do not get enough screen time. Something that I will further dwell on in this review. But Gulshan Devaiah is an actor I have always rooted for. This is a man who has dedicated years to the craft and still finds himself in the underrated category of actors. His character in Ulajh is an actor's dream because he can play so much with it. The character is essentially playing games with reality. So you're constantly trying to figure him out, and you take the shape of sharing a poker table with him, trying to call his bluff and next move. And as Gulshan acknowledges this power dynamic, he toys with you, constantly keeping you guessing about his loyalties and, more importantly, who he is. It's such a treat to see him on the screen, especially when he fully embraces being an absolute prick. To see the characters around him being taken aback as he effortlessly intimidates them, I couldn't help but be drawn into the movie with his presence. There are several talented actors in the film that get limited screen time to really make an impression. In fleeting moments, I couldn't help myself but chuckle when Roshan Mathew swears in Malayalam, just frustrated at the circumstances around him, but I'll dwell on what the problem is later on in the review. Commendable choices. The film visually is spectacular, and I genuinely commend the conviction of the director Sudhanshu Saria, who was adamant in shooting in real locations. So in an era where most films have been shot with green screens and a heavy dependence on CGI, it was refreshing to see backgrounds and locations that were simply real. The film is also shot in an odd aspect ratio. I think it was 16:10, giving it a more compressed feeling. What's quite intriguing regarding these technical aspects is that the makers use wide lenses to capture almost every element in the frame. It provides a very interesting experience. This marriage between something being compact but still wide. I wonder why exactly the director took this creative route regarding the film. But now let's get to brass tacks, and why I found myself getting tired while sitting through Ulajh. The underwhelming aspects. Middling screenplay. The frustrating aspect of a thriller like Ulajh is that you acknowledge its potential. It really has all the ingredients to be a tight-knit and engaging thriller, and the film frustratingly wants to be convoluted to the point where it almost self-implodes. You know, there are two types of complicated from a screenplay perspective. One that is smart, keeping you guessing on the edge of your seat, like you saw with Maharaja recently. And the other is where the makers do such a dense information dump on you in a small period of time that you become disoriented regarding several moving elements in this film. One of the things that broke my heart was a very interesting album formulated by Shashwat Sachdev that seemed to just not have its place in the screenplay. While the background music is still riveting, singles that you will find extremely melodious on Spotify, just seemed to not find its place in this screenplay. I found it slightly heartbreaking because Shashwat has provided a very unique take with his music regarding this film, but he seemed to just not provide any character to this movie. Coming back to the screenplay and its complicated nature, when you look at the film and the eventual mission and goal in the climax that needs to be curtailed, you look back on the journey almost visibly exhausted and wonder why they took such a painfully confusing route to get there. The destination and the overarching goal was rather simplistic, but the journey taken to reach there goes in so many directions that you almost get exhausted. You have everything from Indian agents going rogue, Pakistani sleeper agents, ex-policemen, intel blackmail, political unrest, coups brewing to happen. All of this combined with Sohana's personal journey, struggle with her identity and purpose, it gets so confusing that the makers harm their own film. I know the makers named the movie Ulajh, which essentially means entangled, but they took the title and its meaning way too seriously. Wasted talent. I really felt empathetic towards some of the ensemble cast that couldn't really make an impression. I mean, you've got Rajesh Telang who plays Sohana's driver, you've got Adil Hussain who plays the role of her father, Chang playing the role of a loyal and credible raw agent, Roshan playing the role of a loudmouth agent, but no one really gets the opportunity and enough screen time to truly blow you away. Most of the running time is dedicated to the journey and turmoil that Sohana is going through, and this causes for Janhvi to do a lot of the heavy lifting. In many instances, Janhvi has benefited from a solid cast being around her, something that can almost cushion her and even in many cases elevate her performance. Even though this exists in this film, especially in the scenes she shares with Gulshan where both of them share this toxic and destructive energy together, the other cast members just don't get enough time to make a solid impression. I really felt for Chang especially, who I saw after a long time on the big screen, and he had such a confident energy on screen. Just not enough time. Concluding moments and the case of Janhvi Kapoor. The moment the film eventually gets to its point, in the concluding moments, you can't help yourself but be frustrated on the journey to get there. The issue also regarding the film is the shift of its tonality. The film for most of its running time is a realistic, understated and tight-knit thriller. And for some reason, near its climax, it transitions to become a mass film with dialogue bazi. While most of the characters interacted with one another like regular conversations that you would see around you, suddenly you see Sohana say dialogues like "मैं ये करके रहूंगी, जान देके या जान लेके." The line in the trailer also where she goes "पूरा शेर खा जाऊंगी." All of these dialogues are in sharp contrast to how the film really is. I mean, hitting someone and saying "ये ले सुकून" is full Sunny Deol commercial vibes. And I feel like the makers just integrated some CT marne wale dialogues wondering ki kuch to hona chahiye where the audience cheers. Janhvi and her performance in this film is quite a mixed bag. And I think this criticism that I will talk about has stayed consistent with many of her performances. She is absolutely convincing with her expressions. If it is a feeling of vindication, of anguish, of anger, of frustration, she absolutely nails it from an expressions POV. Where Janhvi, however, has consistently faltered is something that I have spoken about multiple times. I remember speaking to Janhvi where she spoke about how her biggest strength in acting performances, where she thrives, are in the silences. And it is damn true. In moments where Sohana is an absolute mess while the character contemplates every bad decision made, Janhvi shines. But this can't be a flex after so many opportunities. This is the point where one should really be excelling in, especially what people point out as your biggest demerit as an actor. The nasal, raspy tone often gets in the way of her performances, and this makes for justified criticism, especially when you take into account the platform she is given. Hindi cinema, by the way, does not get enough credit for investing in a project, pushing it like a commercial movie with a female lead at the helm of affairs, and when you get such a golden opportunity, you should leave no room for errors. Ulajh really had the potential to be an engaging espionage thriller, but it, much like its title, gets too convoluted for its own good. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Ulajh. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.